Imagine you are sitting in a Hollywood movie theater in the 1960s. The ending credits are rolling on the latest film, which seems to be all everyone is talking about these days. Yet the story lives only on the screen. You are living in the center of Los Angeles. You feel like the iconic cityscape doesn't seem as impressive as the films show. For you, the famed Hollywood sign is just something you drive past every day, and the movies are just for entertainment. This is what Ed Ruscha sought to depict in his art. His works portray iconic Los Angeles sights and the cityscape, yet he made them ordinary. The palm trees and Hollywood sign were just that, a sign and some trees. Ed Ruscha's works disrupt popular perceptions of Hollywood as a land of fantasy, glitz, and glamour by revealing the reality of the ordinary cityscape of Los Angeles in the 1960s. Edward Ruscha was born in Nebraska on December 16, 1937. As a kid, he was always drawn to exploring different types of art. He took a particular interest in cartooning and continued this throughout his adolescent years. Ruscha's mother was always supportive of his artistic interests and stood by his decision to pursue art in college. He moved to Los Angeles in 1956 and studied at the Shoe-In-Awe Art Institute, presently known as the California Institute of the Arts. He was very involved at Shoe-In-Awe. He created an art journal called The Orb. This began his interests in creating an artist's book, and today he is credited with reinventing it. Instead of art created only for a small audience and observed in museums, these books allowed for the beginning of the mass production and distribution of art to wide audiences. We will later talk about one of his most famous artist books, named Every Building on the Sunset Strip, which, without revealing too much, included page after page of black and white photographs of all the buildings on the iconic LA street. Ruscha later worked as a layout artist for the Carson Roberts Advertising Agency, where he learned his later famous techniques of simplistic art with clean-cut lines. Ruscha's art is centered around Los Angeles sights and the characteristic cityscape. He was in love with the town and all it had to offer. Ruscha says of his love for Los Angeles, "The subject of Los Angeles became a great metaphor for anxiety and the speed of modern life." His art started to gain a lot of attention in association with the Ferris Art Gallery, which showed many works of artists of the 1960s who began the pop art movement. The Ferris Gallery established the LA art scene by exhibiting many modern post-war artists, such as Andy Warhol, who began creating more simple, cartoon-like art. Ruscha is well known as one of the artists who began the pop art movement alongside many Ferris Gallery artists. He has created a variety of works. Through paintings, prints, drawings, photography, and films, Ruscha explored many mediums in which he represented quintessential LA sights. However, instead of the glitz and glam represented in Hollywood films, he showed the ordinary truth behind the smokescreen of Hollywood. The Sunset Strip was just a street lined with buildings. The gas station was just standard. Alexandra Schwartz analyzes Ruscha's perception of LA in her book, Ed Ruscha's Los Angeles. She writes, Ruscha's iconic images of the cityscape and culture of Los Angeles, freeway gas stations, parking lots, palm trees, motels, swimming pools, and billboards have both reflected and shaped popular perceptions of Hollywood and the city that surrounds it. His works of ordinary sights in Los Angeles call attention to the fact that the city of angels is, at the end of the day, just an ordinary city. His prints use language and phrases to convey the harsh reality of life in Los Angeles. This city of fame and glamour, known throughout the world as the City of Angels, is not perfect. As Ruscha puts it, it is 90% angel and 10% devil. His work underscored the ordinary. The image of Los Angeles from films is suddenly altered. Ruscha's works show his reality, His Hollywood is not the same as a Hollywood in the movies. Hollywood and Los Angeles became an inseparable pair. People from around the world knew about Hollywood films, and it seemed Hollywood was the only thing on the minds of people living in Los Angeles. Author Margaret Thorpe explores the effect Hollywood had on American families in her book, America at the Movies. She says, 85 million Americans go to see a picture every week. That, from one point of view, is why the movies are so great in art. That, from another point of view, is precisely why they are not. In whatever direction justice lies, it is undoubtedly true that no art has ever been so shaped and influenced by its audience as the art of cinema. Thorpe writes about the overwhelming effect Hollywood movies has on American families' perception of reality. The lines between fantasy and reality begin to blur, and those living in Los Angeles are unsure which image of LA is true. Movies played a huge role in the culture and perceptions of Los Angeles. They further publicized the idea of Los Angeles as a city of glamour, movies, fashion, production, and distribution. Films propagated false assumptions of the city of Los Angeles, yet they became an essential part of the Los Angeles lifestyle. Ruscha was motivated by this widespread influence. His works take on opinions and ideas that were controversial in a world so filled with the glittering veneer of Hollywood. They reveal the harsh reality that Hollywood is not the fantasy land shown in the films. It is a land of false dreams and struggles. Celebrities do not walk the streets, and the Hollywood sign is not a sparkling symbol of opportunities. This was the Hollywood which Ed Ruscha was trying to portray. His work, Another Hollywood Dream Bubble Popped, directly deals with the perception of Hollywood that is altered by reality. Hollywood is known as a land of dreams and opportunities, and Ruscha portrays this dream bubble popping to show how reality disrupts the false dreams and hopes. This piece is minimalistic. It is simply a background of plain colors with plain white text on top. The lack of details and illustrations allows the viewers to focus their attention on the phrase and what it might mean. Although very simplistic, this piece calls attention to the false perception of Hollywood and how that affects the very lifestyle of Los Angeles. When Hollywood films became more and more influential in LA, popular culture of the 1960s in the city reflected a time of experimentation, creativity, anger, frustration, social unrest, rock and roll, and other forms of music, just to name a few. The Sunset Strip became the center of pop culture, with a bustling nightlife and art exhibits for the younger generations. It fell to artists like Ruscha to portray the reality of LA that lurked behind the luster. They all worked to demystify the Hollywood facade, the gilded promise that shaped an entire city. To dig further into Ruscha's works and how they revealed what was behind the smokescreen of Hollywood, we are going to be looking at one of Ruscha's most famous artist's books. His book, Every Building on the Sunset Strip, includes page after page of black and white photographs of buildings on the iconic Sunset Strip. However, the center of LA's pop culture is no longer a street of energetic teens and a thriving music and art scene. It is simply a row of buildings. Ruscha somehow makes all the buildings look mundane. They are no longer impressive and influential. They are just buildings on a street in LA. Ruscha is able to show the reality that LA's bustling culture is not as impressive as the films show. The center of LA's famous pop culture is nothing more than structures on a long LA road. After looking at Ruscha's works and his inspirations, one can ask, does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? Understanding his art in the context of LA's tumultuous 60s and 70s allows us to gain insight into his Hollywood. Even after 50 or so years since Ruscha's Los Angeles ceased to exist, he continues to alter our perceptions of Hollywood and reveal a unique side of the City of Angels.